Namaste, friends. We are here today to take up a subject which all of us have experienced sometime or the other, and we call it with different names such as fear, anxiety, apprehension. So, if we really look at all these names and go to the root of it, all fear, apprehension, anxiety stems from one single factor, and that is the sense of uncertainty and the unpredictability of life. In fact, we can almost say that the only thing predictable is the unpredictability of life. So, why don't we experience it more often? Simply because we let life flow with a kind of intuitive faith that things will be fine. And when something unusual happens, something which overwhelms us, something as trivial as appearing for a test for your driving license, and to something much greater like appearing for an exam or an interview, then the sense of apprehension and anxiety takes over, because these are not things which we are routinely doing. So whenever there is something which is other than our routine, and where there is a degree of uncertainty, the prospect of failure, then the sense of anxiety and fear tends to overwhelm us. So where does it really come from other than the sense of uncertainty and unpredictability? The other factor is that we as human beings almost innately want to control the future. So these are the two reactions which we as human beings go through, and they are called fight or flight. And there is a third one which is called as a freeze reaction. We don't know what to do, whether we should fight or we should take a flight, and we are frozen, unable to choose. And it is a mix of these three reactions that usually is the cause of anxiety. How do we handle anxiety? Before we handle anything, a basic principle of life is spend some time in understanding the problem. As it is said, understanding the problem is half the solution. So looking at the problem in the right perspective is the first step, because if we do not understand the problem, then we are not only not likely to solve it, we are likely to complicate it. It's like somebody who is the rush of the moment, the heat of the moment, does things and later on regrets because the arrow has been shot and the repercussions follow. So how do we start looking at the problem in the right way? If we look at ourselves, we'll see that there are two distinct parts in us. One is the surface, in which we react, respond, we rush, we want to immediately act. It's more of a reaction rather than action. And the second, which we are not much used to, and that is something little deeper in us. And if we learn to practice going a little deep within, not too deep, but just stepping back, meaning thereby don't rush to act in an impulse, unless, of course, it's a life-threatening situation. So just step back and look at the problem. Maybe a neighbor has been angry. Maybe your boss has been very unkind. Maybe someone has told things about you. You have heard bitter criticism. Maybe you have to appear for an interview. Maybe you have to go for an exams. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't rush to react. Just wait, give yourself time, reflect, and look at the problem in the right perspective. Right perspective means the frame to which we look at the problem and the real importance and value that we give to the situation. So how do we evaluate a situation? Most of us are basically carrying stock ideas from people, from the society, from peers, from various places, of course, parents, teachers, and we carry these values. Let's say, for example, when we were growing up, I think now all of you are much more wiser. Growing up, we were given great importance to career and money. And while career and money are important, if we step back and see what is the real value of money. The real value of money is it can get you certain external things, some comforts, yes, but there are a lot of things which are much more important which money can't buy. So when we look at things like that and see even about career, why is a certain career so important to us? Is it an expression of who we are, an expression of ourselves, or is it simply because we are following a social norm or a peer pressure? So various ways, look at the problem stepping back. So when we look at the problem in this perspective, look at it correctly, its true value, then many of our habitual reactions, what we call as spontaneous reactions, will automatically stop. For what are these spontaneous reactions? They are not our authentic self. Very often we say, I just want to be authentic. If I'm angry, I express my anger. No, this is not my authentic self. The authentic self is deep within. So friends, authentic self is not those momentary outbursts, but what we really are and the way we define ourselves. So first thing about a problem is, let us be clear how I define myself. A being of calm, peace and wisdom, a being of strength, or a being of violence, hate, anger and all the rest.